Look, I need to tell you something about humans, and you are probably not going to believe me. Nobody did when I first tried to explain it. But I was there. I saw the whole thing unfold, and honestly, it still keeps me awake during my rest cycles. My name is Vorthen Kralix, and I am a documentation specialist for the Galactic Commerce Guild. Sounds boring, right? Well, it usually is. I spend most of my time filing reports about trade routes, taxation disputes, and the occasional smuggling incident that nobody really cares about. But 6 cycles ago, everything changed when Earth submitted its application for guild membership. Earth. Such a simple name for a planet. Most civilizations pick something grandiose, something that screams look at how important we are. The Zephronians call their homeworld the eternal beacon of radiant wisdom. The Krell refer to theirs as the first stone of creation. But humans? They just call it Earth. Dirt. Literally, they named their planet after the ground beneath their feet. When the application landed on my desk, I almost tossed it in the recycling chute. Another backwater species trying to play with the big leagues, I thought. We get maybe 3 or 4 of these every cycle, and they all follow the same pattern. Some newly spacefaring race discovers faster than light travel, gets all excited, and thinks they are ready to negotiate with empires that have been doing this for millennia. The human representative who showed up for the initial meeting was named Marcus Webb. Average height by their standards, brown hair, wearing what I later learned was called a suit. Nothing special. Nothing threatening. He walked into the council chamber with a briefcase in one hand and a smile that somehow made me uncomfortable in ways I could not quite articulate. "Gentlemen, ladies, and others," he said, nodding to the assembled representatives from 40 different species. "Thank you for seeing me today. I promise I will not waste your time." Already, I was suspicious. Everyone wastes our time. It is what these meetings are for. The High Adjudicator, a Vorthen named Kralix, gestured with 3 of his tentacles. "Human Marcus Webb, your species has submitted a request for provisional membership in the Commerce Guild. We have reviewed your technological assessments, your economic projections, and your cultural documentation. Frankly, we are not impressed." Marcus did not flinch. That smile stayed right where it was. "I understand. We are newcomers. We lack the history, the achievements, the grand fleets that other species bring to the table." "Precisely," Kralix continued. "Your faster-than-light technology is primitive. Your industrial output is laughable compared to established members. Your military consists of ships that would be classified as patrol craft by our standards. Tell me, what exactly does Earth offer the Guild that we cannot obtain more efficiently elsewhere?" This was the part where most applicants started to panic. They would stammer about potential, about future growth, about how they just needed a chance. Marcus, however, reached into his briefcase and pulled out a small device. "May I?" he asked, holding it up. Kralix waved a tentacle dismissively. "Proceed." Marcus pressed a button, and a holographic display materialized above the device. It showed a star map, but not one I recognized. The coordinates were all wrong. "This," Marcus said, his voice calm and measured, "is a complete map of the Viridian Expanse, including the locations of 73 resource-rich systems that the Guild currently believes are inaccessible due to gravitational anomalies and spacetime distortions." The chamber went silent. The Viridian Expanse was a legendary dead zone, a region of space where ships vanished and navigation systems failed. Dozens of expeditions had tried to chart it. None succeeded. "You are lying," Kralix stated flatly. "Am I?" Marcus pressed another button. "These are navigational algorithms developed by our astrophysics teams. We have already established 3 mining outposts in the region. Your samples are available for inspection." He was not lying. I could see it in the body language of our Guild surveyors. They were practically vibrating with excitement. Kralix leaned forward, all 7 eyes focused on Marcus. "How did you accomplish this?" Humans have a saying, Marcus replied. Necessity is the mother of invention. Earth is a single planet with limited resources. We could not expand conventionally fast enough to support our population growth. So we got creative. We had to. Over the next 2 hours, Marcus systematically dismantled every objection the Council raised. Trade routes. Humans had already established faster corridors through previously unusable space. Cultural exchange. Earth had thousands of distinct cultures, art forms, and philosophical traditions ready to share. Military concerns. Well, that part got interesting. We do not have grand fleets, Marcus admitted. But we have something else. Something we are willing to share with guild members exclusively. He pulled up another hologram. This one showed a ship design unlike anything I had ever seen. It was small, barely larger than a fighter craft, but the technical specifications made no sense. This is a Wraith-class interceptor, Marcus explained. It uses a propulsion system based on controlled quantum tunneling. Effective range is 12 light-years without refueling. Top speed is 0.97 light. And it is completely invisible to conventional sensors. Impossible, someone shouted from the back of the chamber. I think it was the Dravix ambassador, but honestly, I was too busy trying not to choke on my own respiratory fluids. We have one in orbit right now, Marcus said. It has been there for the past 3 hours. Your defense grid has not detected it. The security chief immediately began screaming orders into his communicator. 5 minutes later, he confirmed it. There was indeed a human ship sitting directly above the council building, and our systems had registered absolutely nothing. Kralix was no longer dismissive. What do you want, human? Provisional membership, Marcus replied. Standard terms. We contribute our technology and navigational data to the guild. In exchange, we gain access to established trade networks and legal protections. You could demand far more with what you have shown us today. Marcus nodded. We could. But we are not interested in conquest or domination. We are interested in partnership. You see, humans learned something important in our history. The species that survives is not the strongest or the fastest. It is the one that adapts best. And right now, we are adapting to a galactic community. The vote was unanimous. Earth became a provisional member of the Commerce Guild that same day. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. So incredibly, stupidly wrong. 3 cycles later, everything started to change. It began with small things. Human merchants started appearing in guild markets, selling products nobody knew they needed. Entertainment devices that responded to thought patterns. Food preservation technology that kept organic matter fresh indefinitely. Medicine that could cure diseases our best doctors considered terminal. But the real shift happened in the gray markets. The places where the guild officially did not look, but everyone knew existed. Humans started offering services. Problem-solving services. I heard about it from my colleague, a Fenrothi named Claven. He came into my office one day, mandibles clicking nervously. Vorthen, he said, have you heard about the fixers? The what? Fixers. That is what they are calling them. Humans who solve problems. Any problems. I laughed. Come on, Claven. Every species thinks they are problem solvers when they first join the guild. Give it a few cycles. They will learn. But Claven was serious. The Harath Syndicate had a blockade situation in the Outer Rim. 3 freighters trapped, millions of credits in cargo about to be seized. They hired a human team. The blockade disappeared overnight. Just vanished. The Harath asked how they did it. The humans said, we talked to them. Talked to them? That is what they said. The blockade fleet just packed up and left. No shots fired. No bribes exchanged. The humans talked to them. I did not believe it. But then more stories started circulating. A human negotiator resolved a 300-year-old territorial dispute between the Kelvin hegemony and the Taurus Republic in 6 days. 6 days. Generations of diplomats had tried and failed. A human engineer fixed a catastrophic reactor failure on Station 47 using spare parts and what she called duct tape. Our best technician said the station would need to be evacuated and rebuilt. She had it running in 8 hours. A human military advisor helped the Prax coalition defend against a pirate armada 3 times their size. The pirates retreated after losing only 2 ships. When asked about his strategy, the human said, "We convinced them they were attacking the wrong target." It was everywhere. Humans were everywhere. And the galaxy was changing because of it. The Guild Council called an emergency session. I was required to attend as the official liaison to Earth. Kralix looked older somehow. Tired. Vorthen Kralix, we need to discuss the human situation. Is there a problem, High Adjudicator? That depends on your definition of problem. In the past 3 cycles, humans have involved themselves in 47 major guild operations. They have resolved disputes, prevented wars, established new trade routes, and generally made themselves indispensable. Some council members believe this is wonderful. Others believe it is dangerous. Which do you believe? Kralix was quiet for a long moment. I believe humans are the most terrifying species I have ever encountered. And I do not think they even realize it. Terrifying. They are barely a threat militarily. Their economy is growing, yes, but it is nowhere near the major powers. You are not understanding what I am saying. Kralix pulled up a data display. 3 cycles ago, there were 16 active conflicts within guild space. Today, there are 3. Human mediators were involved in resolving 13 of them. Trade efficiency has increased by 23%. Why? Because humans keep finding faster routes, better methods, innovative solutions to problems we did not even know we had. That sounds like a good thing. Does it? Tell me, Vorthen, what happens to a galaxy that becomes dependent on one species for critical functions? What happens when that species decides it wants something in return? I had not thought about it that way. There is more, Kralix continued. We have been monitoring human behavior patterns. They do not act like other species. Most civilizations compete. They fight for resources, for territory, for dominance. Humans compete too, but they compete by making themselves useful. They find what you need before you know you need it, and then they provide it. It is not aggression. It is infiltration through value. You make it sound sinister. Is it not? In 3 cycles, humans have made themselves essential to guild operations. What happens if they leave? What happens if they decide the terms of membership are no longer acceptable? I did not have an answer. Kralix gestured to the data again. I want you to investigate. Find out what humans really want. Find out what their endgame is. Because species do not just give away advanced technology and solve everyone else's problems out of kindness. There is always a price. So I started digging. I interviewed human merchants, negotiators, engineers, anyone I could find. I asked them directly. What does Earth want? What is the goal? And you know what they told me? We want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. That was it. That was the answer I kept getting. Over and over. But I did not believe it. Nobody gives that much without expecting something in return. Then I met Lydia Grant. Lydia Grant was not what I expected. When I requested a meeting with someone from Earth's diplomatic corps who could explain human motivations, I thought they would send a politician. Someone polished and rehearsed. Instead, they sent a xenoanthropologist who looked like she had just finished hiking through a jungle. Her hair was tied back in a messy knot, she wore practical clothing with visible stains, and she carried a bag that smelled faintly of something I could not identify. Vorthen Kralix, she asked, extending her hand. I had learned this gesture. Humans shake hands as a greeting. It still felt strange, pressing my appendage against hers. Yes. Thank you for meeting with me, Dr. Grant. Just Lydia, please. Doctor makes me sound like I know what I am doing. She smiled. It was not the diplomatic smile Marcus Webb had worn. This was genuine, warm. Somehow that made me more nervous. We sat in a cafe on Station 82, one of the neutral zones where guild members conducted informal business. Lydia ordered something called coffee, which looked like liquid tar and smelled worse. So, she said, taking a sip and not even flinching at the temperature that would have burned my throat membranes, you want to know why humans are so helpful. Why we keep solving problems and sharing technology. The Guild Council thinks we have a hidden agenda. Do you? Yes and no. She set down her cup. Can I tell you a story about Earth history? I gestured for her to continue. About 500 years ago, my ancestors lived in a place called Europe. There was a war. Actually, there were lots of wars, but this one was particularly bad. Millions died. Cities were destroyed. And when it was over, everyone expected the winners to punish the losers. That was how it had always worked. You win, you take everything, you grind your enemies into dust. She paused, stirring her coffee absently. But they did not do that. Instead, they helped rebuild. They created alliances. They shared resources. And you know what happened? 70 years of relative peace. The longest period without major conflict in that region's history. Why? Because they learned that making your former enemies dependent on your destruction keeps everyone trapped in cycles of revenge. But making your former enemies dependent on mutual prosperity? That creates stability. So humans solve problems to create dependence? No. We solve problems because we learned that a rising tide lifts all boats. When our neighbors succeed, we succeed. When trade flows freely, everyone benefits. When conflicts get resolved, resources go toward innovation instead of destruction. She leaned forward. Here is the thing about humans, Vorthen. We are really, really good at pattern recognition. And the pattern we recognized is that cooperation beats competition in the long run. But competition drives innovation. It drives progress. Does it though? Or does competition drive arms races and zero-sum thinking? Lydia pulled out a tablet and showed me a graph. This is Earth's technological progress over the past 1,000 years. Notice anything interesting? The line was relatively flat for centuries, then suddenly shot upward. The exponential increase began after our major powers stopped fighting total wars and started cooperating on scientific research. Space exploration. Medical advancement. Climate restoration. We did more in 150 years of cooperation than we did in the previous 800 years of competition. I studied the graph. This could be coincidence. Could be. But we have data from 63 other species across the galaxy. The pattern holds. Civilizations that shift from competitive to cooperative frameworks see dramatic increases in innovation, quality of life, and survival rates. Civilizations that stay purely competitive tend to stagnate or destroy themselves. It made sense, but something still bothered me. If this is true, why share it? Why not keep the advantage? Lydia laughed. Actually laughed. Because it is not an advantage we can keep, Vorthen. The whole point is that it only works if everyone participates. If we hoard our technology and methods, we just become another competitive power, and the cycle continues. But if we share, if we help everyone improve, then we all benefit from the increased innovation and stability. The Guild Council believes humans are infiltrating through value. Making yourselves indispensable so you can leverage control later. Oh, we absolutely are making ourselves indispensable. Lydia's expression turned serious. But not for control. For survival. Survival? She pulled up another display. This one showed star charts with marked regions. We have been studying galactic history since we joined the guild. We found something disturbing. Every 3 to 5,000 years, there is a major collapse. Trade networks fail. Civilizations fall. Technology regresses. Then everyone has to rebuild from scratch. It has happened at least 6 times in recorded history. I knew about this. Every historian did. The cyclical collapses were considered inevitable, part of the natural order of galactic civilization. What if they are not inevitable? Lydia asked. What if they happen because everyone is so busy competing and protecting their advantages that nobody notices the systemic problems until it is too late? Trade routes become inefficient, but nobody fixes them because why help your competitors? Diplomatic disputes fester because compromise looks like weakness. Small conflicts escalate because everyone is too proud to back down. You think cooperation can prevent the collapses? We think it is worth trying. Look, humans almost destroyed ourselves a dozen times before we figured this out. Nuclear weapons. Climate disaster. Biological warfare. We came terrifyingly close to extinction multiple times. The only reason we survived is because enough people decided that cooperation was not weakness. It was strategy. She finished her coffee and ordered another one. How was she drinking that stuff? Here is what humans want, Vorthen. We want to not die. We want our species to survive. And we figured out that the best way to ensure human survival is to make sure everyone else survives too. Because we are all connected now. If the galactic economy collapses, Earth collapses with it. If major conflicts erupt, we get pulled in whether we want to or not. Our survival is tied to your survival, and the survival of every other species in the guild. It was the most honest answer anyone had given me. And somehow, it was more frightening than any conspiracy theory I had imagined. So you solve problems because you need us to succeed. Exactly. Selfish altruism, some of our philosophers call it. We help you because helping you helps us. Is that sinister? Maybe. Is it effective? The data suggests yes. I sat back, processing this. What happens if it does not work? What if cooperation is not enough to prevent the next collapse? Lydia's smile faded. Then we tried something new, and at least we will fall knowing we did our best. But Vorthen, I do not think we are going to fall. You know why? Why? Because for the first time in galactic history, you have a species that is really, truly invested in making sure everyone succeeds. Not just allies. Everyone. Even the species we do not like. Even the ones who compete with us. Because we understand that your success is our success. She stood up, shouldering her bag. The Guild Council wants to know if they should trust humans. Tell them this. Trust is earned through action. Watch what we do. We will keep solving problems. We will keep sharing technology. We will keep mediating disputes. Not because we are saints, but because we are strategists. And the best strategy for human survival is making sure the galaxy thrives. After she left, I sat there for another hour, thinking. I wrote my report to the Guild Council that evening. I told them everything Lydia had said. I included the data, the historical patterns, the logical framework. And I added my own conclusion. Humans were not infiltrating the galaxy through value. They were investing in it. They had looked at the long game, at patterns that unfolded over millennia, and they had decided that their best chance of survival was ensuring everyone else survived too. It was pragmatic. It was calculated. And it was working. Kralix read my report during the next council session. When he finished, he looked at me with all 7 eyes and said, so we can trust them because they need us. Yes, High Adjudicator. And if we fail, they fail. Precisely. Kralix was quiet for a long time. Then he did something I had never seen him do before. He laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together, but it was definitely laughter. "Do you know what the most human thing about this entire situation is?" he asked. "What?" They looked at a galaxy full of species that had been doing things the same way for millennia, species with far more experience and history and power, and they decided we were all doing it wrong. They are 3 cycles into guild membership, and they are already trying to restructure galactic civilization. The absolute audacity of it. He was right. The sheer arrogance required to think you could change a galaxy after barely joining it was staggering. Should we stop them? I asked. Kralix looked at the data displays showing decreased conflicts, increased trade efficiency, and rising quality of life indicators across guild space. Why would we stop something that is working? That was 5 cycles ago. Today, humans are everywhere. They mediate disputes, establish trade routes, share technology, solve problems nobody else wanted to tackle. Some species resent them. Others worship them. Most just accept them as part of the new normal. And me? I am still filing reports about it all. Documenting the changes. Watching as humans quietly, systematically make themselves essential to galactic civilization. Last week, I had coffee with Lydia again. Yes, I tried it. It was horrible, but I am adapting. "Do you ever worry," I asked her, "that you are changing too much too fast? That there will be backlash?" She shrugged. There is always backlash when you challenge the status quo. But here is the thing, Vorthen. We are not forcing anyone to accept our help. We are just offering solutions. If people want to keep doing things the old way, that is their choice. We just happen to believe our way works better. And if you are wrong, then we will learn from it and try something else. That is what humans do. We fail, we adapt, we try again. It is kind of our thing. I have been thinking about that conversation a lot lately. About what it means that humans entered the galaxy quietly, without grand fleets or ancient legacies or claims of superiority. They just showed up with solutions to problems and a willingness to help. And now, barely 8 cycles later, it is hard to imagine the galaxy without them. The next collapse, whenever it comes, will be different. Because this time, there is a species actively working to prevent it. A species that understands survival is not about being the strongest or the smartest. It is about making sure everyone survives together. Are humans manipulating us? Yes, probably. Are they doing it for their own benefit? Absolutely. But their benefit is tied to ours, and that makes all the difference. The Guild Council officially upgraded Earth to full membership last month. Marcus Webb attended the ceremony. He still had that same smile, the one that makes me uncomfortable. "Congratulations," I told him afterward. "You changed the galaxy." He looked genuinely surprised. "We did not change anything, Vorthen. We just showed up and started helping. The galaxy changed itself." That is the most human thing I have ever heard. They reshaped civilization and somehow make it seem like it was everyone else's idea. I am writing this account for the historical archives. Future generations need to understand what happened here. How a single species, barely out of their home system, looked at millennia of established galactic order and said no, we can do better. And then they proved it. Will it last? I do not know. History is long, and patterns are hard to break. But for the first time in my career, I am optimistic. Because if there is one thing I have learned about humans, it is this. They do not give up. They adapt. They innovate. They find ways to survive against impossible odds. And now, they are bringing the rest of us along for the ride. Whether we want it or not. The galaxy entered the human era quietly. Most of us did not even notice it happening. But it happened. And honestly, I think we are better for it. Even if their coffee is still absolutely terrible.